If you visited Kelowna in July and felt completely in love with it, came home, sold half your shit, and told everyone that you're going to be moving to this city of Kelowna, 6 months later after you get here, you're quietly wondering if you made a mistake, then this video is for you. You're not alone and you're not crazy. There is a specific pattern I watch play out with relocation buyers every single year. And same trigger, same early excitement, same creeping disillusionment, and almost every person going through it thinks that they're the only one. And nobody really talks about this publicly, and I want to talk about it here because I work with relocation buyers every single week, just like you. I live here, I have watched people thrive here, and I've relocated here myself. I've seen the people go through the struggle, and the difference is almost always it comes down to a handful of things that could have been caught before the move actually happened. What's up, everyone? My name is Jack Boovy. I'm a local realtor here in Kelowna with Vantage Realty, and I want to get into the real reasons that people actually regret moving here to Kelowna. If you have any questions at all about your situation, feel free to book in a call with me. My information in description and my calendar link is in the description below. So the number one regret is they moved to the July version of Kelowna. This is the root of almost every other regret on this list. I'm going to spend some real time on it here. Kelowna in July is one of the most intoxicating places in Canada. The lake is warm, the sun is out at 9 p.m. Every restaurant has a patio. There's boats everywhere, wine festivals, beach volleyball, the hills are golden, and the air smells like dry grass and fruit. People are suntanning and seem to have just figured out that the rest of the country hasn't. Cancel the last one. You visit here for a long weekend, you stay at a nice spot near the water, you eat well, drink well, and feel something shift inside you. You think, why am I not living here? And what is keeping me in Saskatchewan or Alberta or Manitoba, or even Abbotsford for that matter? Then you go home, start planning the move, but the problem is that you didn't visit the true version of Kelowna. You visited the best 4 days of Kelowna's entire year. The version of the city that exists in January doesn't look or feel anything like the version in July. The valley fills with an inversion layer of gray cloud that can sit on the lake for weeks, and the hills are brown and bare. The lake is cold, empty, the wildfire smoke in the summertime. It's not a complaint per se, but winter in Kelowna is genuinely much more mild compared to most of Canada. It rarely drops below -10 here. There's very little snow in the valley. The gray overcast skies that come with the inversion layer surprise almost everyone who moves here from the prairies, where winter is very brutal and often brilliantly sunny. But the people from Saskatchewan that trade those -30 winters for Kelowna's cloudy +2, and they expect it to gain sun, they don't trade it for a different kind of gray. Now, before you move here, I would highly encourage you to visit in February, spend a full week, see if you still want to live here when it's not performing for you. Regret number two is that they assumed more affordable than Vancouver meant more affordable. Now, this one destroys people financially, and it happens because the comparison is technically accurate and completely misleading at the same time. Yes, Kelowna is much more affordable than Vancouver. The average detached home in Vancouver is close to 1.9 million, whereas the benchmark price in Kelowna is just over $1 million. So on paper, yes, Kelowna is nearly half the price per se, and that sounds like a massive discount. But here is what the comparison leaves out, that Vancouver incomes are also dramatically higher, and a mid-level professional in Vancouver makes significantly more than the same roles play here in Kelowna. The median personal income here sits more around $60,000 to $8,000. One estimate puts the income required to comfortably carry the average home a lot over at $230,000 a year. So that gap between what local jobs pay and what local housing costs is one of the most and worst in the entire country. People move here from smaller prairie cities where they've had good jobs, reasonable housing costs, and were genuinely excited to build wealth. They sell their house in Saskatoon or Red Deer or Brandon, Manitoba. They bring over their equity, they buy something here, and then they realize a year later or two that the equity is deployed, the carrying costs are higher, and the local salaries they are now earning do not rebuild the savings at the same rate. So you can neither eat nor get ahead on scenery and nice weather. That is a quote from a local forum here in Kelowna that was written by someone who had been watching this pattern repeat itself. It's blunt and very accurate. So if you're a remote worker, keeping your current salary, then you're insulated from all this. However, if you are a retiree with equity and no mortgage, then this barely applies. But if you are planning to find some employment here in Kelowna after you arrive, then do the math before, plan ahead, look at actual job positions in your field, look at what they're paying, run the numbers against what housing costs and cost of what it actually is to live here in Kelowna, and make that decision from the spreadsheet. Run the numbers, not from just a feeling that you had at a winery on a Saturday afternoon in August. Regret number 3 is they expected a big city inside a small one. Kelowna is about a city of 150,000 people in the urban proper area. It has a downtown core, obviously. It has restaurants, great breweries, a concert venue at Prospera Place, a UBCO campus, and enough going on that it doesn't feel sleepy. It is still a city of 150,000 people though. So if you're moving from Calgary or Edmonton or Vancouver, or even Saskatoon for that matter, there are things that you will simply not find here at the same level. The concert touring circuit that comes through a city of 150,000 people is much different from what visits a city of 1 million plus. The restaurant variety is narrower, but still really good. The professional sports scene is junior hockey, and that's about it. The cultural programming is developed, and several people who have left Kelowna after 1 to 2 years consistently cite the same thing. There is limited entertainment options once you take out the outdoor lifestyle, the social scene, that can feel a little bit more insulated, and a restaurant culture that wraps up earlier than people who came from larger cities are used to. It's not a fatal flaw of the city in general. For many people, especially those who came for the outdoor lifestyle and the pace, is exactly right. If you are someone whose social life is built around live music, a diverse food scene, late nights, and a constant rotation of new things to do, then Kelowna at its current size may feel constraining after the first year or two of just novelty once the novelty wears off. Regret number 4 is they underestimated just how hard it is to make friends as an adult here. This one is rarely talked about, and it catches a lot of people off guard. And obviously this is dependent on your personality too. However, Kelowna does have a very warm community. It is also very deeply socially, infrastructurally, what has built over decades from people who grew up here. They went to high school here and they've been here for a long time. They formed their circles, and you could say that about any city, I guess. However, when you move here as an adult, especially if you're coming alone or a couple without kids, breaking into that existing social circle takes some time and effort. However, it could be done anywhere, and it, like I said, does depend on your energy when you go out and your extroversion and ability to just make friends in general. I would say highly recommend joining things that you enjoy doing, whether it's a hiking club or a wine club or whatever sort of niche group that you're a part of. So this will take time to build over time, and several reviews from Kelowna's people who've moved here have described a little bit of a cliquishness, pockets of the city with some social culture, particularly more amongst the wealthier communities too, in the Mission and some of the most more established neighborhoods too. Whether that is a fair characterization or not, it's just the friction of being new anywhere. Like I said, the experience of that feeling socially isolated during the first year is very real, and it's consistent enough that it does deserve to just be said directly. However, if you have a strong network and you're bringing it with you, it matters less. If you're moving here somewhere where you know nobody, build a plan for how you're planning on getting out there and meeting people before you arrive, where you can make some connections and just be more social, because whether you're an introvert or not, it is important to have those social connections. And I would say don't wait until you're lonely to start. Regret number 5 is the financial shock of BC came all at once. I covered the tax conversation in another relocation video, but it does deserve to be in this video as well because it contributes to a regret in every specific way. It doesn't just hit you all at once, it hits you repeatedly. The 7% PST on everything you buy, the gas that runs 15 to 20 cents higher per city than Alberta, the vehicle PST if you do bring your car over and if you have not owned it for 30 days. Also, that property transfer tax on your purchase, the BC income tax running higher than Alberta as well, home insurance that might be complicated if your property is in one of those wildfire interface zones as well. None of this is catastrophic on its own, but when they stack on top of one another in the first 6 months and you're simultaneously adjusting to a higher cost of living, that local salary that you may not match what you earned before and the general friction of establishing yourself in a new city, it creates a financial pressure that people describe as exhausting. The antidote is running the actual numbers, not just theoretical ones, and do that before you commit. Build a first-year budget that includes all of these costs. If the numbers still work with those realities fully priced in, you're moving here for the right reasons with the right preparation. Regret number 6 is they don't plan for the wildfire season, psychologically speaking. The physical reality of wildfire season, well, the smoke, the air quality, the evacuations. I covered this in a previous video that I made, but there is a separate dimension of this that is worth naming here. And that is the psychological weight of living in this every single summer. After the 2023 evacuation that displaced over 35,000 people in Kelowna area, a lot of residents described a lingering anxiety around the following summer. Every day you check the air quality app, you notice when the horizon starts to haze, you have a to-go bag ready. Some people with children describe a background level of stress during that fire season that just doesn't go away, even in years where no major fire comes even close. For some people, this becomes a very normalized thing over time, but for others, particularly those with young children or significant anxiety, it never fully resolves. It's a real cost of living in this semi-arid valley surrounded by forests, and it's worth sitting with honestly before you decide to move. So here's the pattern underneath every regret I just described. The regret is never really about Kelowna. It is about the gap between what someone expected and what they actually found. Almost every expectation gap traces back to one or two things, and either someone made the decision based on the best few days that they've ever spent here without stress testing it against the full reality of a year, or they made the decision without running the financial math against their actual situation. People who move here and do not regret it are not tougher or luckier, they're more reliable, they're a lot more deliberate, and they visited in the shoulder season, they ran the spreadsheet numbers, they understood the trade-offs that they're making, and they knew the outdoor access, the quality of life in exchange for these higher costs, the smaller city amenities, and the wildfire season was a trade that they're actively choosing rather than just blindsidedly running it. Kelowna is one of the best places to live in Canada and to build a life if it is the right fit for you. The question is not whether this city is good, it's just a matter of whether the city is good for you specifically. And that answer requires a lot more than just a long weekend in July to figure out. So if you are in the middle of this decision and you want a straight answer, a straight conversation about whether Kelowna actually makes sense for your situation, feel free to reach out. Absolutely no pressure. I'm not going to sell you on anything here moving here. I want to give you the honest version. I want to help you figure out if this is truly the right move for you. And that is a different conversation and a much more useful one in my opinion. My contact information is in the description below. My calendar link is in there as well. So feel free to book in a call anytime that works for you, or just send me a message, whatever works best. It's this conversation I have exactly with relocation buyers just like you every single week. And I truly want to help you with this move to make it the right and best decision for you. So I appreciate you watching this video. And if you did like it, please hit that subscribe button and I appreciate you. And I'll see you on the next video.